It's Monday, which means it's another episode of After the Pull, the video series where I share all my thoughts and opinions on the rest of the comic books that I read for the current comic book week. Guys, I'm Mike Spiderslayer. Welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. If you love daily comic book content and you like me helping you make decisions on what comic books to buy, and you've watched for a little while and haven't hit that subscribe button, what do you think? What are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button. So guys, if you haven't checked out Worthy Ones, that is the video series where I discuss all the new issue 1 comic books for the week. So I'll leave that video at the end of this one so you can watch this one and then you can watch Worthy Ones back to back. So with that being said, guys, we have a smaller comic book week, but there were some good comic books that came out for Worthy Ones. Let's talk about these other books now. Just like every week at the beginning of each episode, we go through the Cue the Flash. The speed round. That's right, guys. Now, there's a few books that came out this week that I had to read digitally because my shop did not have these books, right? And one of them was Terminator, and I think the other one was Space Ghost. So we'll definitely talk about those books, but again, I did read them digitally. All right, so the first book we're going to talk about is Venom. This is issue 39. I know I've stressed this a lot that I've personally have not been a fan of the Venom War, the Venom storyline overall. It's had its moments, but overall for me, it's been a downer. I just think this overall arcing story has been too long. I think the Venom event has been too long, and I just find myself almost not caring, right? And that's sad. And the whole reason why I picked up this issue, because I was thinking maybe we would get like a cameo of who the new Venom was, but you don't really get that in this comic, and you get more time traveling with Dylan in here, and I really don't care about the time travel old man Dylan stuff. It's just kind of a bore fest for me. That's just me. If you guys like it, totally cool, man. That's okay, but I'm really looking forward to the new direction of the character going forward. All right, so the next book we're going to talk about is I Heart Skull Crusher issue 7, one of the more surprising comic books of the year for me. We get to see kind of more of Trini being casted out in this particular issue, and we're finding out that obviously the League is not what it is. It's kind of like, it's like wrestling, right? It's like, oh, I've always wanted to do this and that and be part of this and meet my idol, and then we just find out that there's more and more behind the scenes that you kind of are like, well, shit, this is not what I expected, and now it's mainly just, you know, survival at this point, right? But I love the art, I love the action in this comic book. It's always fun to read. However, I would definitely suggest that you got to read from issue 1 to understand remotely what's going on in this comic book. All right, the next book we're going to talk about is Minor Arcana. This is issue 3. A nice little book here from Jeff Lemire as we get this young woman who has come to town to try to take care of her sick mom. And she's finding out that her mom has these, you know, abilities to kind of go through tarot cards and help people when they need it. And in this issue, she finds out that she's, you know, she fell off the wagon. She visits her ex-girlfriend, and it was an interesting conversation. So this issue was pretty good. I did like it. It just kind of focuses more on the main character itself. So definitely looking forward to issue 4, and I do recommend this one. All right, the next book here is Terminator issue 2. Like I said, my shop did not receive. I don't know why. I didn't even realize I was missing this issue until like 2 days ago. I'm like, well, shit, I gotta read this online because I gotta talk about it. Now, Terminator is fun. It's very much like Space Ghost. It's like this, you know, one and done type of storytelling, except for this issue so far, it's 2 parts, right? And it has to do with the timeline of 1976 during the Vietnam War. we get to see a platoon trying to leave, evac, and you get to see this one soldier who's trying to get back to wherever he was to find this particular treasure. And there is this Terminator that was dropped in that exact location, and he's going after this soldier. He must terminate him. Now, that's the point of this book. It's about just random people that were part of the resistance. So you get to see all these different timelines. It's not really focused around Sarah Connor and John Connor and all those characters. I feel like the artwork could be better in this series, but I like Terminator, and I like seeing these different little short stories. So really cool stuff. Definitely recommend this one. And then we go to Space Ghost. This is issue 7. Another fun read, right? In this one, we get to see the point of view of Blip. So what they've been doing in this book is they've been really showcasing certain characters. Obviously, it was Space Ghost, then it was like Jan, and then Jace, and now Blip. And there's this mission where the ship crashes, and it's in this world where this animal guy is in control. I forgot his name, but it makes the animals smarter and it makes the humans more stupid, and it's up to Blip to kind of save the day, right? So it was really a lot of fun. Great artwork in here. I want to say there wasn't that much Space Ghost, which maybe could be a deterrent for a lot of people, but this does give you a little insight of every single character in this series. And again, I like the one and done stuff. I think it's kind of fun, a little bit refreshing, where we see, like, again, overly large arcing stories that can be a drag at times. So yeah, that's my thought on Space Ghost, and that is the speed round for you. Uncanny X-Men. This is issue 5, 28 pages for the price of $5. This is labeled as the Red Wave conclusion. So yeah, first story arc coming to the end for writer Gail Simone and David Marquez. The artwork, like I've said from the past, is really good. Just lots of different characters in here. In this particular issue, there is a lot of there's a lot of action in it. So if you like action, you're gonna like this particular issue. Great character expression here from Rogue. Really enjoyed that. And we get to see the return of the Harvey X character, which I thought was really cool. And he does make a prominent role in this issue. So I was excited to see him here. In this book, though, I do feel like there's just a few too many characters. You got all these new X-Men, and then you got the traditional X-Men, and plus you got the Harvey X, which I don't know if he's going to be around going forward, though, and they're all vying for panel time, right? So there's just a lot going on in this comic book, and I felt like it could be overwhelming, right? So what did we get at the end of this story arc? Well, we got a lot of new characters, right? I still don't know if I am truly on board with this series. Like, are we keeping all these characters? Are they going somewhere else? Like, I don't know, right? But at the end of the day, it was really mainly focused around Rogue and fighting that Sarah monster mutant that said she was involved with Xavier and had a baby with him. So you did get to see a lot of that, okay? And obviously your X-Men prevail, because they always do, right? But I just still don't know where I really stand. I think this is an emotionally strong comic book, but I think there's just a lot going on with it, with a lot of characters. When you look at it, there's like, just in the X-Men alone and the new characters in here, I think we got like 6, we got like 10, maybe like 12 characters in here. Like, there's just a lot going on. So, you know, I'll continue it. I don't think this is the best X-Men, obviously, that I've ever read. Is it the best X book that I enjoy? I think out of the main 3, I think I say still yes. But I honestly think like X Factor is my favorite X book, period. So I don't know. I think I'm still kind of on the fence with Uncanny X-Men. And that is kind of sad, because I feel like it should be like A+, and it's not. For me, I'm going to give this one like a B-. I thought it was okay. I thought it was probably just a little bit better than average, but it's just not quite my favorite. Deadpool, this is issue 8, 28 pages for the price of $4. It's written by Cody Ziegler, and the art is done by Rogue Antonio. The artwork is always a lot of fun in here. It's bright, it's vibrant, crazy facial expressions. I love my boy Taskmaster in this book. He's a great supporting cast member. Even though I would like to see more of him in this comic book, I feel like he's taking a little bit more of a back seat, playing Deadpool's role in the whole company. Since Deadpool is not in action, so he's not out on the field. But what this book does is it brings back, what's her name, Valentine, and she was the love interest actually in the last run of Deadpool, and kind of got this whole family thing started. And I do like how Cody Ziegler's playing off of that. Like, he brought back Princess, he brings back Valentine, and he's really focusing on the family aspect of Deadpool's world. And I think that's something that I don't think we really focused so much on in previous Deadpool series. Now, I could be wrong because I haven't given them enough time, but it was really cool to kind of see, you know, Ellie learn that origin story of their love and a little bit more about Princess and all those different things. And then we wind up getting to see Valentine kind of put in her resignation and move on with Ellie and help her on her quest to resurrect her father. So this book is really good. I've enjoyed it. It's continued to surprise me each and every issue. My only thing is I felt like this issue was a little bit dense. Didn't maybe progress so much of the story so much, but I guess to include Valentine in there, you had to do what you had to do. But yeah, I want Taskmaster, man. He's my boy, so I want him more in the book. And I do want Deadpool in here also as well, because I felt like he is a missing piece in this comic. And when they were all together, there was no stopping this book. So we'll see the direction this goes. I'm going to give this one a B+. Really enjoyed it. Looking forward to future issues. Batman and Robin, this is issue 15, 32 pages for the price of $5. Written by Philip Kennedy Johnson, and the art is done by Carmine Di Giandomenico. That was so hard for me to say. The artwork is very dark. Look at that. Look at Damian's facial expression. There's like not an over amount of colors in this book as well, but I did feel like it did work. I did enjoy it, especially the opening scenes in this comic. I felt this was very like a cool Batman and Robin. You know, this book felt like it had stakes because there was a casualty and it had to deal with this young girl that he was talking with in the previous issue. But then after that, kind of the issue took a little bit of a dip for me. We get to see this internal conflict that Damian is having, and I don't know if I'm not as well versed in these characters, like the DC side of things and Damian, as maybe a lot of you are out there, but I'm sure he has dealt with loss in the past, and he has this like real internal conflict with this girl that, you know, maybe because he was mean to and then she lost her life. I don't know if that's him developing as a man. I have no idea. So I just felt like it's not the first time I felt like he's dealt with loss, right? And then in the second half of this comic, I kind of got a little bit bored by the, what's the character's name? Memento. I almost felt like I did not care about that character, right? It's like, I don't know if I care about that villain enough, right? There's a garbage truck right on time. Couldn't do it when I was done with this segment, right? But anyway, when it comes to this villain, I don't know if I care as much. And just knowing like Philip Kennedy Johnson's writing, sometimes he tends to like drag out things a little bit too much. So even though I did think this comic was pretty solid, I just don't think I'm going to be continuing it anymore, because I do read so much, and I do read quite a few Batman stuff, and I just feel like I don't need another Bat comic. So maybe I'll just follow you guys and let me know what you think of Batman and Robin going forward. But again, it's not a bad comic. I can't read everything. So I'm going to give this one a solid B. I thought it was good. It was really good in the beginning, and then towards the end, I was just like, I kind of got bored and I didn't like the villain. So that's kind of why I'm like dropping it going forward. Hopefully you understand. Green Lantern, this is issue 17, legacy numbering 584, 32 pages, $5. written by Jeremy Adams, and the art here is done by Laura Braga, who is a wonderful artist. I love everything that is brought to the table here. The colors look really good in this book. I mean, look at that, man. That's a Dark Star right there. That is impressive. Like, loved seeing all these different things that happened in this comic book. But like I said, different things. There was a lot of different things going on in here, where obviously in previous issue there wasn't so much that happened in the main story because it had to do with absolute power, right? So here I just felt like Jeremy Adams was like on this mission to put everything in this book that he's been wanting to tell, and the book suffers though because of it. There's just so much going on. It's just, there's things going on with Theros. There's things going off with Theros' nephew. There's freaking Mogo, who's a freaking Red Lantern that's getting ready to destroy Oa. There's freaking Sinestro going on here. There's situations going on with Kyle Rayner in this book, and it's just like, it's all good stuff, right? But you're just like, oh my god, you're just like so overwhelmed that you have to like go back and maybe reread this book, right? It's a good book, but man, there's just a lot that actually happens in it, and I would have loved if they kind of decompressed it a little bit and made it into 2 issues, and I can totally see where this would be overwhelming for a lot of people and turn people off, especially since you had so little, you know, from the absolute power stuff. And Jeremy Adams did do a good job at trying to, you know, move his story forward with the event that went along, but now I just felt like he missed telling his story. He's like, here you go, there's everything right at you, you know? So yeah, good stuff, great story, just too much at once. So at the end of the day, this one gets a B from me. Just, you gotta read it again, man, to get all those fine little details. Transformers, this is issue 14. Hard to believe we're there already. 28 pages for the price of $4. This book is written by Daniel Warren Johnson. The art is done by Jason Howard. The artwork gives it a more like cartoony feel. Not my favorite art in the series, but it's still really good. And as long as Mike Spicer does the colors in here, it definitely has that familiar feel, right? And you gotta love freaking Starscream in here, as he's part of like that Hiss tank or Viper tank or whatever it is. So look at the facial expressions in there. It's pretty cool. This comic book is really focused more on the Starscream character. Obviously, we get to see a little bit of his backstory on a little bit of his relationship with Megatron and how he became like such an asshole, basically. And in this issue, we really get to see him kind of become what he currently is, thanks to the humans, which I thought was kind of funny. And they're attached to the Cobra people, right? To the Cobra organization, and they kind of bargain with Starscream here, and he's kind of forced to work with the fleshies, or the squishies he calls them, right? And you do get to see him kind of get the upper hand though against the squishies, and he starts working with some other Decepticons. And now at the end of this issue, you see Starscream has this new MO. And could you see kind of like this civil war brewing with the Decepticons? This is going to be interesting development here. And does Starscream stay the way that he currently is? I don't know. Time will tell. But a very good book. Once again, really like this little story arc that was told here. And we'll see how the story continues going forward. So at the end of the day, this is a top pick for me. This book does get an A+. I love every single issue of Transformers. It really hasn't let me down yet. And I love when you can do a character development piece, especially with a character that you really know. You know, it's kind of like, okay, well, how do we make this character grow? And they kind of did. So I liked it. So if you like Starscream, I think you're going to like it too. Now, this next book we're going to be talking about is because of you guys, the webheads out there. And this is Arcbound issue 1. A lot of you guys said, Mike, you need to talk about this book. This is a new #1 and you missed out. Yeah, sometimes I do pass on the Dark Horse books. And I should have known better because it's Scott Snyder. But you know, Scott Snyder's not all perfect all of the time, right? So I when I heard the description of this, it didn't really turn me on, so I passed on it. But a lot of you guys told me I needed to read this book. So I did get it digitally and I did read it, and I'll be buying it physically, just letting you know in the near future. So this is 32 pages for the price of $5, written by Scott Snyder, Frank Terry, and Tom Hardy, which is pretty cool. And the art is done by Ryan Smallman. The art is pretty good in this book. There's lots of war. There's a lot of like gross stuff in here. Like it's pretty intense, right? And I really enjoyed the war part of it and the fighting part of it. It's a pretty dense comic because it lets you know the world that they're in. This is taking place well into the future, and we get to see that Earth at this point has become a wasteland, and there's this company that is harnessing resources for the future, and they're very greedy corporation at this point, right? And they'll take on anybody, and even if there's, you know, means of surrender or, you know, willing to negotiate, these people still want this war to actually happen. And the soldiers that you see dropped into this war are absolutely insane. Reminds me of like a Hulk-like character. And there's two main characters. There's like a captain and then there's an assistant. And this one captain has been in war for so long that he's kind of having second thoughts of what's happening at this point in time. And his head's not in the game. And let's just say like it kind of costs this guy. And where do we go into the future with the main character of this comic? I don't know. Does he stay with the guys that he's been working with all this time? Does he go on a separate path? Is he in between the middle? What happens with his relationships? There's a lot of potential with this comic book. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like Noctera, like where the earth goes black and the world is forced to survive. You got this soldier. So I don't know, man. It's pretty cool. I really enjoyed it, and I would say that this book is a B+. Again, little dense, right? It's not something we haven't seen before, but I'm definitely on board, and I want to thank again you guys for recommending this book to me. The highly anticipated Absolute Batman issue 2. Is it going to be as good as issue 1? Well, we'll talk about it. 28 pages, $5. I want to know if you guys liked it as much as issue 1. You know, when you get a brand new series, it's like fresh out of the box. It's like a brand new toy. You're like, yeah, man, this is freaking awesome, right? No matter what. And then you get that second issue and you're like, oh, is it the second issue drag? So this one is written by Scott Snyder, once again, the second book in a row. The art is done by Nick Dragotta, and this book opens up with, you know, beautiful artwork. You do get to see some Absolute Batman in here from the, you know, opening pages, but for the most part, you don't see Batman in this comic, and this book is pretty much I don't know, this book has everything in it. It gives you a little bit of Gotham, and gives you a lot more character development, which I think is really necessary in this absolute world, right? Especially when it comes to Commissioner Gordon on what he's gone through, Martha Wayne, which is a prominent character, obviously Barbara Gordon, who's going to be a prominent character in this book, and you do get to see a little bit of Bruce's past in here after his dad passed away, on kind of how his mood shifts, how his personality changes. So you do get, you know, a little bit of everything in this comic book, including you do get more of Batman's rogues gallery as they're his friends here and they have a poker night. Now, I felt like this poker night went on a little bit too long and it dragged on a little bit, but nevertheless, it was interesting to see some of the commentary in the comic book, and then you kind of get the action scene when it comes to this Party Animals or Black Mask gang, and you get to see the big freaking dump truck at the end of this book. Now, was this book as good as the first issue? I wouldn't say it's quite as good. It does deliver. It gives you a little bit of this world. There's a particular character that you get introduced that obviously is going to play a larger role in the future. But there wasn't as much absolute Batman, and I did want to see that and less of the poker playing stuff. But it was good. I liked it. I don't think it was A+ material. I don't think it was a top pick, but it's definitely going to be a book that I continue to read, and it's going to be my highly anticipated list. And I just am so curious where they're going to go with this in the future. And also being that this is an absolute Batman universe where things are different. This main cover here was a little bit misleading. You would want to think that, ooh, are Alfred and Batman going to go at it with each other? And right away, it's like they're almost like allies here right from the start. And it's kind of misleading a little bit. So, you know, comics do this all the time, but being that, again, it's an absolute universe, you kind of want to see that confrontation, right? So, yeah, still really good. B+ on my end. I want to know what you guys thought of Absolute Batman issue 2. And there you guys have it. There are all my thoughts on the rest of this week's comic books. Do you agree or disagree? If you disagree, hey, I always say that is absolutely fine. That's what makes this hobby so much fun and create so much great conversation. Guys, here's my Worthy Ones videos where I discuss all those new issue ones like I promised earlier. Make sure you click on that, watch that video, and support the local comic shops. Keep buying, keep collecting, but always remember, read your comics so we have great comic conversation just like we had today. Guys, thank you so much. I'll see you real soon. Bye.